要是再敢打我一下，我就再也不理你了。
We see a young mistress who can knock anyone out with her pretty face. Later, Yaya and Susu are caught following the mistress, so she scolds them for being naughty. Susu tells her she is about to get married and tries to run away, but falls down before the mistress can catch her. The foxes follow Susu, and the mistress says she will make Susu marry the man of her choice. Now we see a boy named Bai Yechu, who is flirting with a delivery girl, but actually wants the food next to her. She feels upset and smacks him down for being mean, but Bai doesn't care as he feels one shouldn't waste food. Now he takes part in a competition called I Only Marry for Money. Bai says he hates all the girls here, but needs to get married because it's his mission. Suddenly, the event is stopped by the Yichidao group, which maintains the balance between humans and spirits. Master Wang shows up and tries to act cool with Bai, but he simply gets rebuked for being mean ever since they were kids. Bai brings out the Lover's Stone and says that if any girl holds it with him, they will be together forever, thus ruining Wang's 500-year-old plan. Our hero is attacked by some goons, but he takes them down with ease, much to Wang's surprise. Suddenly, the ceiling breaks as Susu falls onto our hero. After a hilarious crash, Bai decides to use the stone, but it's been broken by Susu, so he gets very angry. He unleashes a storm so she bumps into him to calm him down. Suddenly, Susu drops a lot of candy and chocolates, and Bai is very happy as he loves all of these treats. He forgives Susu, but then the foxes show up and transform into massive monsters. Bai agrees to save Susu if she gives him more chocolates. She agrees, so he gets to work and faces off against foxes in a hilarious fashion. Bai gives the monsters a run for their money, so Wang tells the foxes he'll help them catch Susu if they help him catch Bai. The villains work together and fight Bai while Susu tries to play matchmaker with one of the female contestants named Lee. Suddenly, Bai is struck into the ceiling but falls with the debris, and then Fan Yunfei, the son of the Fox Emperor, summons a spirit sandstorm that engulfs everyone. Lee thinks back to her hilariously haunted memories, and then a fat man named Qian arrives to investigate the scene after eating 50 servings at a restaurant with Lee's parents. Fan attacks Bai with all his might, so he braces for impact, but then Fan transforms into a desert fox and loses all his powers. Fan falls into the lap of a fox girl named Mishu, and then he goes to sniff Lee. Fan acts creepy with her, so she throws him away, and this angers Mishu. She unleashes her frustration onto Susu and says she will raise an objection with her masters. Mishu is about to punish Susu horribly, but Bai stops her in her tracks. He shows off his impressive powers, so she calls her 4 holy guards for help, but it's of no use as Bai is much stronger than all of them combined. Bai tells Mishu to get lost, and then he goes to Susu so that he can get more candy. Mishu says that Lee is actually the reincarnation of Fan's wife, so they need to be matched with each other. The mistress and her assistant watch everything from a distance as Bai and Susu enjoy a meal at Mishu's expense. She loses her patience and summons a spirit, which explains that humans and spirits can also fall in love. If the human dies early, then the soul can be kept in a vessel that will transfer the soul to the next person holding the vessel. This is done with the help of the fox spirits and their magical items. Mishu gives Bai some hammers, and then he uses them on Fan and Lee. They are taken back to some memories where Fan was accidentally sent by his dad into a military camp naked. All the girls want him, but the fat boss wants the prince all to herself. Fan's dad tries plan number 2 and sends desert foxes to rescue him, but the fat lady summons rain and defeats the beasts. All hope seems lost, but then Lee saves Fan as she is a general. Now Mishu is shocked to see Bai harnessing the hammer powers, and then Qn shows up to tell the spirits to stop bothering Lee as her parents have hired him to protect her. Qn is revealed to be Bai's dad, and our hero is upset with him, but because he is eating his sweets. The father and son get into a fight where Bai beats up his dad and makes him cry for being reckless. Qn acts emotional and offers the sweets to Bai, but runs away after tricking him. Now, Lee gets her memories back and scolds Fan, after which Mishu attacks her for being rude. However, the fox lady is defeated and made into sand. Susu worries that Mishu is dead, but is told to simply build her back up. She makes a funny sandcastle instead, and then Qn shows up to capture Mishu and Fan so that he can make a lot of money. Susu gets in his way, but he ignores her and kidnaps both his targets. Now Lee thinks back to when she saved Fan from the fat lady. She gets distracted by his good looks, and this allows the fat lady to attack her with her ice bricks. This inspires Fan to become a fox and save her by swallowing the fat lady's imperial water pearl. Now Lee tells Qn to leave the foxes alone, and then she walks away. Meanwhile, Susu consoles Bai and then they unite with Mishu and Fan. Now Wang visits Lee's home and wants her to tell him where Bai is, but she scratches him and walks up to her room. Our heroes enter a cardboard house, which makes Bai a little hesitant even though Mishu tries to tempt him with some pictures of beautiful women. Bai realizes that they are in Lee's attic and he spies on her, but Fan blocks his view. Now they see rose petals and spot Wang, who is trying to flirt with Lee. He bangs his head while trying to impress her, but immediately does a touch-up to improve his face. Wang's men also tried to upsell him to Lee, and she realizes that he is trying to court her. Lee asks Wang out to a movie, and he immediately takes her in his sports car. Fan is upset and tries to go after Wang, but gets swatted away like a fly. Bai promises to help him because he hates Wang himself. Now Lee and Wang watch a movie in an empty theater, and she falls asleep. Bai and Fan teleport to the scene, and their hero uses the magical hammer on Lee to take her back to the moment Fan proposed to her in their past life. However, this turns out to be a salty memory because Fan's dad had messed up the proposal, so the plan fails. Bai loses his mind as he keeps wasting seals to see what had happened during the past life, and he starts choking Fan because he doesn't think he is in love with Lee. However, after checking some information from Susu, Bai learns that Fan entered a heart oath before the Tree of Flight a millennium ago. Since the water pearl is used to break such oaths, he suspects what Mishu wants him to do. Susu seemingly grows taller when she makes this discovery. The mistress sees this and believes that Bai might be the one for her. Our hero thinks that Mishu doesn't want Fan to regain his lost love, so he demands the pearl from her. But then the Emperor of the Western Foxes arrives. He says that the location of the pearl is confidential, and he challenges Bai to a fight. This turns out to be a huge mistake, as Bai easily takes him down with just a couple of smacks. The Emperor gives up the pearl immediately, but it's only in half due to the power of the heart oath. Bai presents Fan with one last chance to touch the pearl and regain his love. He does so, and it makes Lee bite Wang's arm. They are taken to the hospital and Wang gets treated, but Bai lights his hair on fire, so he runs away. Later, our hero catches the Emperor as he tries to escape, and then they enjoy some beef together. The Emperor explains how Fan had become so powerful that he would easily take down even the strongest of water demons. However, this one time he came back beaten up brutally along with Lee. This led the couple to get married, but they were banished for having an illegitimate affair, as Lee was a human and Fan was a spirit. They lived together for 80 years, but Lee died and it made Fan upset, so he used the pearl as the key to their heart oath. Now that Bai understands everything, he makes fun of the Emperor and Mishu for failing to reunite the couple for 900 years. A couple of foxes come and take the general away for some work, so he pleads with Bai to help Fan become the king, thus taking away his workload. Now Bai rushes to the hospital with Fan as Lee has recovered. However, it is believed that a god of destruction will appear whenever the pearls are brought together. The mistress and her assistant use their powers to subdue a beaked beast with no physical form. They walk away, but know that stopping this beast will be tough even for Bai. Now the team runs into a bus. Our heroes find themselves in the same situation again and realize they are stuck within a loop created by the monster. Fan is a lot stronger now that he has the pearl, so he breaks the loop. However, a truck falls on top of the team and unleashes all kinds of animals. Things get crazy as the creatures start assaulting everyone inside the monster bubble. Our heroes try to escape the bubble, but their legs feel heavy because of the weight-inducing seals. Meanwhile, Wang tries his best to regain Lee's approval. Some kids come in to ease the mood, so Wang uses their help to add on to his flirting. However, Bai and Fan drop by before Lee gives in to Wang's seduction. Now the hospital is invaded by the fat lady's reincarnation and her men. Wang summons his demon to counter Bai, but he easily defeats the demon and sends it out of the window. However, Wang unleashes more demons and they bash up Bai. Fan acts shy with Lee, but gets his heart broken when she tells him she likes Wang. Lee calls out to Wang to take her away from Fan, but he's too busy beating up Bai. Lee gets angry with Wang, especially after learning that he flirts with 180 women every year. Fan threatens to attack Wang, but he says he's much more powerful than him. The fat woman wants to enter Lee's room, and she barges through the door to witness the battle between Wang and Fan. The Foxman uses his sand attack on Wang, but he uses his hourglass to absorb his arm. With no other option, Fan decides to unleash his ultimate sand attack. However, before he can release his finisher move, he is betrayed by Lee. She says that he's the one who hurt her the most, and then we're taken to a flashback where she is chugging down some booze in front of her teammates. Lee accidentally blurts out that she's getting married to Fan, and it causes her men to celebrate. Lee enjoys the attention, but her Mr. Charming doesn't show up to meet her at night. She wants to know where Fan is, so she goes to his town to check up on him. However, she sees him with a bunch of women and fears the worst. Lee tries to listen in on the conversation, but hears her lover boy speaking ill of her. This makes her cry tears, and then she runs away from Fan. Back to the present, Lee unleashes her powers and scolds Fan for returning to her life. The monster starts beating his chest, and it causes an earthquake inside the city. Wang doesn't seem to care at first, but eventually tries to run away only to be scolded by Susu. The villain weirdly listens to her, and then Bai realizes that Lee is being controlled by some spirit strings. Lee attacks Fan with all her might, but then Mishu shows up to defend her master. Bai spots that the strings are ineffective off the ground, but then the fat lady gives Lee her magical spear. Lee uses it to slash through Mishu and half the building. She is about to kill her opponent, but then Fang begs her to show some mercy. Bai wants to be freed so that he can counter Lee, but Wang keeps him trapped inside a seal. Lee breaks down a chunk of the building, but Wang manages to use his hourglass to keep everyone protected. Fan protects Mishu from Lee's attack, so she gets jealous and brutally assaults the prince. Despite this, he holds on to his life, so Bai asks Susu to untie him. However, she is too stupid to understand this, and then both of them are struck by an attack. Susu wakes up to find Bai trapped inside a huge block of ice. She angrily throws rocks at Lee, even though it's of no use. Now Fan confronts Lee because all the slashing has brought back a misplaced memory, where he was told that he made Lee very upset, and she had gone to fight her enemies all alone as a result of it. Fan is ready to be killed by Lee, but then Bai reveals that he had actually broken his seal when he saved Susu against Lee's earlier attack. He finally awakens his powers and breaks through the ice and summons a stick. He uses it to cut through all the spirit strings, after which everyone celebrates. Bai only wants more candy, and he gets distracted, so the monster wraps him and Susu in his strings. Fan identifies that someone else's magic is emanating from Lee's body, so he goes to attack her, but she threatens to never acknowledge him if he even touches her. Fan stops, but some sand still lands on Lee, so she brutally attacks him. Now Bai sorts out a deal with Susu for more candy, and then he kisses her on the forehead. Susu thinks that this is a kiss, but our hero is simply using his tongue to write a seal onto her. This angers the monster, so it fiercely attacks Bai, but he's able to take all the blows and completes the seal. A massive burst of fire energy is unleashed and Bai brings Susu to the ground, like a hero, but gets distracted when he spots her body. Suddenly Susu wakes up, and it seems like she's going to become a fiery babe, but she quickly turns back into her childish form. As a result of all of this, the building has been put on fire. Lee is barely able to tackle the heat, and then she falls into the flames. As she drops down, she thinks back to the time she took on the flame Medusa. The women get into a fierce battle as Lee freezes the mistress, and then she unleashes her ultimate cold. However, Lee realizes that she has brought the wrong tablets, and then she is burnt down. Back to the present, Fan makes a quick entrance to save his darling. Suddenly, Lee remembers that Fan had also saved her life back then, when she had fought the flame Medusa. However, she kicks him for being stupid and tells him to get out while he still can. This also happened during their previous lifetime, and it was what scared the Medusa, as Fan got upset to see his fiancée getting smacked. Now we're back to the present, where Fan uses his ultimate powers to rain water upon the building. His actions finally end the fire, and then the couple breaks out of the sandy lump of poo created by this rain. Fan and Lee are finally back on the ground, but she berates him for cheating on her with those random girls. The couple quarrels for a bit, but then Fan decides it's better to ask for forgiveness. He bows down to Lee, and she gives him a kiss in broad daylight. This also makes the monster try to escape, but Bai confronts it and makes it go the opposite direction. The mistress notices this and starts to pin her hopes on Bai as her trump card. And that's the end of part 1. Like, share, and subscribe for part 2 as well. Hit the bell icon for notifications. I'll see you soon.